Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Hussein, your MEAL consultant. And for anyone new to that term, MEAL stands for Monitoring, Evaluation, Accountability, and Learning. Basically, all the essential pieces for making a real difference. So today, we're going to walk through how to plan an effective needs assessment. We're going to learn how you can take a good idea and turn it into a project that has real, measurable impact. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the most basic question. Is the need you're seeing actually real? Then we'll talk about how to avoid a really common trap that trips up a lot of well-meaning projects. After that, we'll lay the groundwork for a solid investigation, get into the nitty-gritty of executing the assessment, and finally, we'll learn how to turn our findings into a powerful story that really makes an impact. All right, let's jump right into section 1. You've got a great idea, right? A gut feeling that something needs to be done. But is a feeling enough? Well, this section is all about how we move past that initial hunch and start looking for some cold, hard evidence. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You see a problem, you've got what you think is a great solution. But funders and other decision makers, they need more than just your passion, they need proof. So let's break down exactly how to give them that, using a really practical example. Let's imagine this. You're worried about elementary school kids in your area who are home alone after school. Now, there's a great opportunity. A local foundation is actually looking to fund a pilot program for this sort of thing. But, and this is the big one, there's a catch. You have to prove to them that the need really exists before they'll even think about writing a check. And that brings us to a really critical moment, avoiding what I call the opinion trap. This is a make or break point where, honestly, so many great ideas just fizzle out, all because people confuse what they strongly believe with what they can actually prove. So your first instinct might be to just, ask around. You call up a few friends, maybe chat with some local school principals, talk to your neighbors. It feels like you're making progress, right? And it's a logical place to start, but this approach has a huge hidden flaw. Okay, let's really dig into this, because getting this right is crucial. On one hand, you've got subjective opinions. This is what you get from asking friends and neighbors. The information is almost always biased because it only reflects a tiny, specific slice of the community. But on the other hand, you have objective data. Think of something like a systematic questionnaire sent to all the parents. That gives you impartial, evidence-based information you can actually build a solid case on. And this is the bottom line, really. Even if you go out and talk to 25 people, their opinions, no matter how passionate or how much you agree with them, they just don't count as objective information. To convince a funder, you've got to get beyond what's subjective. So if just asking around isn't the right answer, then what is? Well, that's what Section 3 is all about, laying the groundwork. Let's look at the professional way to build your case, starting with 4 key foundational steps. First up, you have to define your parameters. What's the scope here? Are we talking about a single neighborhood, or are we looking at the entire community? Then step 2 is to figure out what information you actually need. Don't just collect data because it's interesting. Focus only on the stuff that is absolutely essential for making a decision. Okay, next up, step 3. Work smart, not hard. Check what information is already out there. You really don't want to reinvent the wheel, so dig into old reports, see what data other agencies might have. Once you see what's missing, you're ready for step 4. Develop your plan. This is where you create your formal methodology that's going to guide everything you do from here on out. Now, methodology might sound like a super technical, scary word, but it's really not. Just think of it like a recipe. It lists your ingredients, like who you're going to talk to and what you're going to ask them, and it gives you the step-by-step instructions for your study. It's your blueprint for a credible, successful assessment. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, executing the assessment. You've planned your work, you've got your recipe all written out, now it's time to actually get into the kitchen and start cooking. Step 5 is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about collecting that data. This is the real doing phase of the project, and having a good coordinator here is so important, because they're the ones supervising the whole process, making sure everything from entering the data to doing the initial analysis is done right and stays on track. But look, just gathering a bunch of numbers is only half the battle. Raw data on its own doesn't really mean anything. Once you have it all, you have a brand new and super important task ahead of you. You have to tell its story. And that brings us to step 6, the reporting process. And listen, this is not a one-and-done kind of thing. Your first draft is really just to get the main ideas down on paper. Then in the second draft, you start adding the details, putting some flesh on the bones. The third draft is all about polishing, correcting, and proofreading. Following a process like this is how you end up with a powerful and error-free final report. And there's one last absolutely crucial step in this phase. Step 7 is the check-in. Before you finalize anything, you share your preliminary findings with your key stakeholders. Their feedback is pure gold for catching things you might have missed, ensuring accuracy, and, most importantly, getting them on board with your findings. Which brings us to our final section, from good idea to impact. This is where we tie everything together. All that hard work comes back to our original goal, walking into that foundation's office and presenting our case with total and complete confidence. And this is where everything changes. See, you're no longer walking in and saying, I think we need this program. You're walking in and saying, our systematic assessment shows that 75% of the parents we surveyed in this community are interested in a latchkey program. Now that is the power of data. So just look at the transformation that's happened here. You started out with a good idea, sure, but it was based on personal opinion. Now, you've ended with a professional, data-backed proposal that is ready for serious consideration and, hopefully, ready for funding. You've built a case that people can actually trust and act on. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this tutorial helped you understand how to plan an effective needs assessment. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this for more practical meal tutorials. I'll see you in the next session.